What's going on, guys? My name's Josh, and I'm back today with another I Know What You Did Last Summer episode recap, episode 5. Before we get this video started, if you could please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Then you better watch out because it's time to get this video started. Let's go. So last time I made a video, I pretty much said I was over the I Know What You Did Last Summer TV series. I definitely think I watched all 4 episodes in one day. I recapped all 4 episodes in one day. And by the end of it, I just was kind of over the show. I definitely think the show has a lot of issues. I didn't really like the slow pacing. I didn't like that we didn't see the killer by episode 4. So they definitely had more stuff that I was frustrated by the show. And it just really kind of just didn't feel like it's going to get better. But I did give this episode 5 a chance, and I will say I did enjoy this episode a little bit more, and it gives me hope that maybe the show will get better. But mind you, we still have not seen the killer in episode 5, so that still has me frustrated, but like I said, I did enjoy this one a little bit better. So let's get into the recap on this episode. So the episode opens up with Margot. She's just kind of binge eating. We see her eating a bunch of stuff, just stuffing stuff in her mouth. She's recording it. And I get that as far as like an eating disorder, if she's bulimic or, she eats, she gets really frustrated and just kind of eats a lot and then throws up. That all makes sense to me. And, that is a real issue. But as far as what I didn't get is, why is she recording it? Is she doing this because she has some kind of eating disorder, or is she recording it for, I don't know, her fans? I don't know. It was kind of weird. I don't really get who is watching, why she's recording it and who she's recording it for. If she does have like a social media following, do people watch that? I don't know. I just thought that was kind of weird. It definitely was weird for that to open up the show. But that's kind of what we started. We get to see more of, Margot and this eating disorder that they don't really touch on too much as well. Like they show it, but I wish they would go into more detail about it. I just don't get why she was recording and for who. But anyways, moving on. The episode opens up where we pretty much are with all the people from the town. They had just found 2 bodies, so people are freaking out. They think the cult is at fault for, these murders. And the police are just kind of saying how they're going to investigate, and the town's freaking out. So later, then we see Dylan. He actually goes to the cave, and he is pretty much, because they, just buried Allison, he is carving Allison's name into the wall. And where he runs into Clara shows up, and she has a bloody knife, and she pretty much reveals that she saw him the night, Allison, or pretty much the night they dumped Lennon's body is, Clara was there and she saw them. So he is kind of freaked out by this, and he thinks, okay, maybe, Clara could be the killer. He then actually goes to Allison, and then, when we get to Allison's house, we actually see she's trying to log into accounts. What I'm unsure of is she's trying to log into Allison or Lennon's accounts, like her Facebook and OnlyFans, or if she's trying to log into her own, accounts. That I'm not too sure about, but she's trying to log in for the reason she can't log into these accounts. Dylan shows up, and he pretty much says, like, I think Clara could be the killer. She was, she was there the night we dumped, Allison's body, and he's just thinking Clara could be there. And she was at the funeral, and he thinks that Clara is the killer. And she's also known for, like, being kind of creepy, so yeah, that's who he thinks is the killer. So then we see a conversation between Riley and Margot, and this is one thing I'm happy about that kind of made me... I gotta say, before we get into that, one thing that has been frustrating me is, how the hell don't these characters know that Allison is not Lennon? Like, what the hell? For me, Lennon and Allison are completely different characters. Like, Lennon is out of control. I would say she's pretty intense as far as her personality. Her personality is on like a 10. And then you have Allison, who is just very, her personality is like on a 1. She's just so laid back. They're completely different characters, though. We saw Lennon in the first episode. She was kind of wild. She's making, sex videos or sex tapes. She's dancing with everyone, making out with everyone, a big flirt. And yeah, she's just kind of out of control, kind of mean, and just very free-spirited. And then you see Allison is just very, very reserved. And I feel like Allison pretending to be Lennon is still coming off as Allison, while Lennon, I feel like her personality can be on a 10 as far as intense. Allison normally is on like a 1 as far as how intense she is. I feel like Allison being Lennon is only at a 4. Like, she's definitely not acted like Lennon, in my opinion, and she just is really, really, really reserved. So it's kind of crazy to me that these characters don't see that, that's not Lennon, just from, how Lennon used to act to how she acts now. So that's one thing that's been frustrating me. So I was very happy with this episode as far as, Margot, because she has been spending more time with Lennon, who she thinks is Lennon. She's finally kind of questioning, like, oh, Lennon's been off. She's acting weird. She questions this with Riley. Like, I do think, something's up with Lennon. She's just not acting the same. Which I think this is great because it would make sense, that they were all close with, Lennon. They weren't close with Allison. No one really liked Allison besides Dylan. And it makes sense that Margot would notice that, this isn't Lennon. So I'm glad she's at least putting the pieces together and starting to question that more. Because like I said, their personalities are nothing alike. So it's about time someone questions, that Lennon's not acting like Lennon. So next we see the gang is brought in for questioning. Pretty much anyone who was at Allison's funeral is going to be brought in by the police and questioned, and mainly just to see, did they see anything? So, we see all the gang kind of go in and they're all being questioned by the police. It's revealed that Allison, had an OnlyFans account. And, this is kind of news because we knew Lennon had an OnlyFans account and was kind of more sexual, but no one knew that, Allison had an OnlyFans account. So that's kind of revealed. Actually, later she talks to her dad, and her dad pretty much is like, why do you have an OnlyFans account, Allison? Because he knows it's really Allison. And she says it's really Lennon's account. It was really unclear, though, if that really was Lennon or was it Allison. That I'm not too sure. But we at least know that potentially Allison could have a side that we're not aware of either. So pretty much the police do the questioning. The gang just kind of says they don't really know anything. And then after, they kind of meet up and talk. And this is when Dylan reveals, he's like, I think the killer's Clara. And, Clara's being questioned right now. Let's go to Clara's house and see if we can find any clues that she's the killer. I gotta say, I love this just because, up until this point, the gang really hasn't been, people have been being murdered and they investigated a little bit, but not really. But now, they're finally banding together. They're finally going to try to solve this mystery. And I love that they're doing this as a group. So this made me really happy that, yes, they're going to go investigate Clara's house. So Clara's being questioned. The gang all goes to her house and they're kind of investigating her house, and they notice weird stuff, like she has bees there, honey, and just kind of investigating, could this be the killer? Here's one thing, though, that drove me crazy. So I was proud of them for finally investigating the house. Then we finally get to where the cult used to live. And we have all these abandoned homes on Clara's property where the cult used to live. And this is what drove me nuts. So, a killer's after you, and he's killed a couple of people. He killed one of your friends, just killed 2 people. Why would you guys split up and go to, check this place out separately? I get for time's sake you'd want to do that, but to me, if there's a killer killing people, you don't separate. That's like the number 1 rule. You could at least do, 2 and 2. You 2 take this one, you 2 go this one. Don't all separate. So the fact that they all separated drove me crazy. I'm like, really, what are you doing? Just like I said, these characters are dumb sometimes, but whatever. That is, you see people separate in horror movies, horror shows. That's very common, so I'll let that go. But anyway, so they're checking the house out. They're seeing really weird stuff. We see, Johnny, it was revealed that Johnny's, in his head, there was these spiders from Antarctica that were in his planet inside his head, which was crazy. And we do see, the gang finds spiders at, Claire's property, the same kind of spiders. So we're just seeing really weird things at Claire's house. It's definitely creepy there. And then we do see that, Allison, she finds pictures at the house, and she actually sees pictures. I believe it was her dad, and I'm not sure if it was her dad and Clara or dad and her mom. Either way, she finds pictures of her dad with this occult. So now we kind of know that her dad's not telling, everything to, Allison. And then we're also, mind you, we're still getting flashbacks. Flashbacks have not stopped. Still getting those back to that same night. I'm so over graduation night, by the way. I wish they would do flashbacks to maybe other nights besides graduation. But anyway, we get back to another flashback, and it's actually of Lennon and her dad. And Lennon is arguing with her dad. Pretty much, he's like, she needs to saying like, you need to tell Allison the truth. So the dad's holding a secret that Lennon knows. And yes, so they're having a conflict. And then it's revealed that, pretty much that night of graduation, Lennon makes her dad leave and wants her dad to take her home. They're leaving and they kind of get in a big fight. And after the big fight, pretty much Lennon's like, you need to tell her the truth or I'm going to tell her the truth and we're both going to hate you after this. They get in a huge fight. Lennon gets out of the car. The dad leaves her. So that's why Lennon is on the road. So we get a little bit more, that, the dad is why Lennon's on the road. And we kind of see the dad drive off and then Lennon's left on the road. So that tells us why Lennon was out there. So that does give us a little bit more piece of the story that the dad's hiding something. And he's almost, part of the reason why Lennon was out there. So he's, in a way, he didn't hit Lennon, but he contributed to her being on the road that night. Had they not in the fight, maybe she would be alive. So then, so pretty much Clara comes home. They see that she's home. The gang's all kind of freaking out. They all kind of run. We see Riley. Well, first we see Margot. She just kind of takes off. Then we see, Dylan's kind of hiding. And then Allison and Riley are still in the place. Riley kind of gets out first. Allison's still trapped there, but Dylan kind of distracts her and distracts Clara, and Allison's able to get out. So in the end, Clara, mind you, Clara has a shotgun. So Clara is definitely dangerous. She has a shotgun, and, we also kind of see, it looks like maybe, I'm not sure if the killer's there as well, because there was an axe or something in the ground, and we see that taken off. So it definitely seems like the killer's there. I definitely don't think the killer is Clara. I do think it's someone else, but we do know the killer's there. So then it pretty much ends with, we know Margot gets away because she gets to go home. Allison and Dylan, they kind of get to go away, and then we see Riley kind of run off. So the characters all supposedly get away as far as this goes. And then we see the dad and Allison get in a fight, and Allison pretty much like, I know you have a secret, and then she goes to stay with Margot, and the episode ends with pretty much Allison going to sleep at Margot's house and holding Margot. So I'm not sure if Allison has feelings for Margot, or maybe she's starting to have a little bit of feelings for her, but that's kind of where that ends. Then we also see at the very end, a knife in the ground or a knife on the ground and someone breathing, and it supposedly could be the killer. Doesn't really show us, as far as what I could tell, what was going on. But this kind of leads me to something maybe happens at Claire's after the episode, or something we're going to find out next episode. One thing, though, I question is, I know we kind of saw Allison, we know she got away. We know Margot got away. I'm assuming Dylan got away as well, but one person that we did not really get to see run was Riley. So I'm almost wondering if the next episode will open up with Riley, trying to get away from Clara's house and maybe the killer finally chasing her. We know the killer's going to chase Riley in a car. I'm almost thinking that might be the beginning of next episode. So, overall, I would say I enjoyed this episode more. I definitely was frustrated that we're 5 episodes in and we still have not seen the killer. I definitely think even if the main characters haven't seen the killer, the show should have at least showed the killer at this point, even if it was a person they killed, off camera. Like one of the people in the bathroom, we could have saw the killer kill them. We could have seen the killer actually killed, like him being revealed when he killed Johnny, something. Like, I feel like we should have seen the killer at this point. I do think that is a mistake on their part, taking so long to reveal the killer, because I do think they're going to lose the audience by not revealing the killer. So that definitely, I don't like that. But I gotta say, I did like this episode a little bit more. So while we did not see the killer, I'm happy that we're starting to, the characters are starting to question Allison now. Margot's picking up that, Lennon is not really Lennon. There's something off with her. So I did like that part as far as this episode goes. And I like that, they're finally doing something. So they're finally investigating who the killer could be. And even though the killer wasn't, it was more Clara was after them, it was more of a little bit more of a horror themed, a little bit more intense. They're trying to hide, while this crazy woman from the occult or the cult is running around with a shotgun. So even though it wasn't the killer chasing them, it still was, you know, a little tense there, and I did enjoy that more. And I enjoyed that they're finally doing something. So yeah, overall, I would say I did enjoy this episode a little bit more, and so it kind of gives me hope that maybe this show can get a little bit better. Or, but I do think we don't have much episodes now. We're on episode 5. I believe there's only 8 for the season. So I do think we're going to probably see the killer soon. We know the killer at least is going to, you know, attack Riley, and it does look like the killer will attack Margot as well. So I definitely feel like the next episodes are going to be more, I do think the killer is finally going to be revealed soon. So I'm hoping that, you know, as this goes on, we're going to get a good season, you know, the rest of the season's going to be good. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on this episode. But what did you guys think? Did you like this episode? Are you feeling it a little bit more? Are you mad like me that we haven't got to see the killer? Who do you think the killer is at this point? I don't think it's Clara. But yeah, please leave your comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching.